Welcome to Emmanuel Church Marlborough. It's fantastic to have you with us. My name is Ruben. I serve as the pastor here. It's been a joy over the past couple of weeks to sit with you, as it were, at Jesus' feet. As Jesus said, I am the bread of life and I am the light of the world. But I wonder if there were just a little bit of us, as we were listening to those, that niggled away and said, I know this. It's a dangerous thing to think. In fact, it would be crazy to think that we could begin to exhaust the depth of the character of Christ. And yet, when I started preparing for this, Jesus made me sit bolt upright. Been having one of those days, a frustrating day. I'd been wading through emails. I felt like I was taking one step forward and two steps back with some admin. I was grumpy with my children at tea time, had a slightly difficult phone conversation, and I was looking down and in. And then I read this Bible passage. And Jesus doesn't say the kind of things you might expect him to say. He doesn't say, I'm a rock. He doesn't say, I'm a star. He doesn't even use good grammar, I don't think. He just says, I am. I am. John's Gospel famously has 7 I am sayings where Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, I am the gate, and so on. This is the 8th, where Jesus just says, I am. And in that moment, God graciously gave me just a tiny glimpse of his glory. And that mercifully blew away a little of my small-mindedness and introspection, and he picked me up and sat me down in slightly more of my right mind. I pray God will bless us now with that. The context is we're still in John chapter 8. Presumably we're still at the Festival of Tents with Jesus. Remember? Where Jesus stood on a place and said, I am the light of the world. Well, since then, Jesus has been debating with his hearers who their father is. It's been a tiny bit like that film Mamma Mia, if you remember it. It wouldn't make my top 10 of films. But it does have Pierce Brosnan singing in it, which is quite amazing. And in the film, there's a girl with 3 possible dads. And she spends the time working out who the real dad is going to give her away at her wedding. Yeah. But in a very tiny, similarly way, Jesus is debating with his hearers who's their real father. I mean, their actual ancestor is Abraham. They want to say God is our father, but Jesus no, the devil is your father. Well, no wonder it's going to be a fiery encounter today. We're going to have 2 points, a question and an answer. First the question, and Jesus' listeners, they ask Jesus, who do you think you are? This is John chapter 8, verse 48 to 53. Do you know what? If you haven't read it yet, please pause, read John chapter 8, verse 48 to 59, and then come back in. First then, who do you think you are? This is verses 48 to 53. Won't you say it again with me? Verse 48. John chapter 8. The Jews answered him, aren't we right in saying that you are a Samaritan and demon-possessed? I'm not possessed by a demon, said Jesus, but I honour my Father, and you dishonour me. I'm not seeking glory for myself, but there is one who seeks it, and he is the judge. Very truly I tell you, whoever obeys my word will never see death. At this they exclaimed, now we know that you are demon-possessed. Abraham died, and so did the prophets. Yet you say that whoever obeys your word will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham? He died, and so did the prophets. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? That is the rhetorical question which Jesus' hearers asked him. Now, why are they so shocked? Because Jesus says, look at verse 51 again. Jesus says, very truly I tell you, whoever obeys my word will never see death. Who do you think you are? Now, they think they know, the crowd. Verse 48, they say, you are a Samaritan and demon-possessed. Picture the angry crowd. If Jesus has questioned who their father was, they question his. The Samaritan people were half Jewish, half pagan. The Jews hated them. And if Jesus had said they're children of the devil, well, they say a bit like children in the playground. They say, what you say is who you are. They're angry with Jesus. Because verse 49, he says, I honour my Father and you dishonour me. In other words, because you dishonour me, you dishonour the Father, God. But the main thing the family are angry about is not that Jesus says he has a monopoly on honouring God. Mostly they're upset because Jesus says he has the get out of jail free card. Verse 51, Jesus says, whoever obeys my word will never see death. Can you hear the shock in their voice? Verse 52, you say that whoever obeys your word will never see death? Who do you think you are? Now, why is this so shocking? I mean, Jesus has said some pretty shocking things to them, but why is this the big shock? Maybe, as Christians, we get used to Jesus saying this kind of thing. It washes over us. Whoever obeys my word will never see death. Yep, that's the kind of thing Jesus would say, we think. And we struggle to really understand people who aren't Christians. Why is it so shocking? Well, because everyone dies. I mean, even the ancestor of their nation, great Abraham, he died like everybody else, verse 52. Are you saying you're greater than him? Who do you think you are? Some kind of superstar? Whoever obeys my words will never see death. You serious? Did anybody ever make such a claim? Let alone back it up. It's a big claim. If it were not true, if Jesus was raising false hopes, it would be cruel and mean. Now, as Christians in our culture, maybe we're almost becoming the baddies in our culture. Maybe we're beginning to get used to that. I mean, I suppose 100 years ago, Christians were the goodies. Our so-called Christian country had Christian values, I suppose. Now it's changed, hasn't it? And if we tell people to live the way the Bible tells us to live, well, they might well react sadly and call us judgmental. It's tough, but let's not panic. It's not new. It was weird when Christians were the goodies. I mean, even Jesus, the most loving person in history, he was hated too. Who do you think that you are, they asked him. In fact, if we've never really wondered, who do you think Jesus is? Then maybe we've never really taken seriously his claims, and maybe we need to listen a bit more seriously to his call. What does he mean? Whoever obeys my word will never see death. Does he mean that if we can earn a ticket to heaven by being really, really good? No, clearly not. Over and over again. We'll take John chapter 6. We saw it 2 weeks ago. Jesus said, the work of God is this. What is it? The work of God is this, to believe in me. So Jesus might say here, whoever believes in me, whoever believes in Jesus, will never see death. What does he mean we'll never see death? Does he mean we'll never actually die? No, our bodies will die unless Jesus returns first. But if we believe that Jesus died to be our Saviour, if we believe that he lives to be our Lord, then our bodies may die, but even after death we will live in heaven with joy with him. And one day when Jesus returns, he will give us glorious resurrection bodies more alive than these ones. Whoever believes in Jesus will never see death. We've asked first, who do you think you are? And let's hear Jesus' answer. It is our second point. Secondly and finally, Jesus says, I am. In verses 54 to 59, that's his answer. Who do you think you are? I am, Jesus says. Look at it with me, would you? Verse 54. Jesus replied, if I glorify myself, my glory means nothing. My Father, whom you claim as your God, is the one who glorifies me. Therefore you do not know him. Though you do not know him, I know him. If I said I did not, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him and obey his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced at the thought of seeing my day. He saw it and was glad. You're not yet 50 years old, they said to him. You've seen Abraham? Very truly I tell you, Jesus answered, before Abraham was born, I am. Whoa! There's the point. Jesus says, I am. It's a funny thing to say, isn't it? What does Jesus mean? Jesus has just said that old man Abraham, the ancestor of the Jewish people, that Abraham rejoiced to see Jesus' day. God had promised Abraham that one of his many great-grandchildren would bring God's blessing to the whole world. And Jesus says, it's me. Abraham rejoiced as he looked forward to me. Who do you think you are, Jesus? Abraham lived 2,000 years ago. You're not even 50. You're a young man. Who do you think you are? And Jesus says, verse 58, before Abraham was born, I am. I am. The oldest person living today is a Japanese lady called Kane Tanaka. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. She's 117 years old. She was born before they invented aeroplanes. She loves to eat sweets and soft drinks. Isn't that brilliant? 117. But that is nothing. Compared with Jesus, she is a baby. Jesus says, I'm older than Abraham. I don't even have an age. I just am. Now, John the disciple began this book, the story of Jesus' life, by saying about Jesus, in the beginning. In the beginning. As God began the Bible by saying, in the beginning. Well, John says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Talking about Jesus. You'll know that I am is actually the Bible's name for God. Do you remember when God revealed himself to Moses in the burning bush? Remember the bush which blazed with God's holiness, but it never burned up, just kept going. God called himself I am, literally Yahweh. And whenever in the Bible we see the word Lord with capital letters, Lord, capitals, it translates Yahweh. It means I am. Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. It is a massive claim. No wonder then Jesus can offer life after death. Be easy for him. Some people ask, did Jesus really claim to be God? Yes, absolutely. His hearers knew. That's why immediately, verse 59, it says they picked up stones to stone him, to try and kill him by throwing rocks at him for such a claim. I am. You might remember the Invictus Games, which Prince Harry started. A great sporting event for heroes, injured military heroes. And the motto for the Invictus Games is I am. For a theme tune, Chris Martin wrote a beautiful song based on the Invictus poem by William Ernest Henley. It goes like this. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And we'd love that to be true, wouldn't we? To be Invictus, unconquerable. But Woody Allen said, I don't want to get immortality through the things I do. I want to get immortality through not dying. Only Jesus is truly immortal. Only Jesus is invictus, unconquerable. And that is why he can make us immortal. Only Jesus has ever risen from the dead, never to die again. Only Jesus can truly say, I am. Only the flawless one can pay for my faults. Only the deathless one can carry me through death unsinged if only we will trust and follow him. I am. Maybe you're like me, having that grumpy day when nothing seemed to work and I kept looking down and in, and I realized some of you have challenges much, much bigger than mine. Maybe every day feels like that. Every day. Or maybe you're full of fears, failures. Friend, lift your eyes. Lift your eyes to the great I am. There he stands, towering over us like a mountain, vast, immovable, ancient. Yet not a cold mountain, heartless, soulless. His glory is matched only by his love, his grandeur by his grace. I am. Trust and follow him, dear friends. Be at peace. Be encouraged. And then let's seek to bear witness for him. Yes, what we believe may be very different to what our culture says, but Jesus is still the same. I am. 2,000 years later, his Spirit is still at work, just the same, helping people turn to him. I find that my friends are much more actually afraid of offending me than I am of offending them in this area. I find actually the reason they don't ask me about my faith is not because they're not interested, they are. It's just because they think what I believe is weird, and they're afraid to tell me that. They're just as afraid of losing the friendship actually as I am. So shall we say to them, look, I realise what I believe sounds weird. I really won't be offended by anything that you say, but could we have a chat about faith sometime? See, we can be afford to be vulnerable about what we believe because Jesus is not. Because Jesus is the great I am. He is more solid than mountains. Maybe we're feeling guilty today. We've failed so many times we hardly feel that we can repent. Let's come back and say sorry again. Am I a bigger sinner than the great I am is a big saviour? Be sure one drop of his blood would be enough to cover all the sin of each of us. Maybe you're in anguish today, deep sorrow, or full of fears of the future. I have no magic cure, but look to the great I am. He holds the future. Maybe God is calling you to make some sacrifice in his service. Maybe a small sacrifice that will cost you a little time or a little money. Maybe a great sacrifice that will have consequences for many years. Maybe something to talk about. But be sure we can afford to take risks in God's service because he doesn't. Because he is the great I am. What have we got to lose that he cannot fill? What might we lose in his service that he will not reward 1,000-fold? Who do you think we are? Who do you think you are? I am.